July 6, 2025. The world stands on edge as a fragile ceasefire holds between Israel and Iran, following a direct military clash that shattered decades of shadow warfare. For many, this is just another chapter in Middle Eastern conflict. But for students of prophecy, these events echo ancient scriptures with startling clarity. Never before have Israel and Iran faced off so openly. Missiles, airstrikes, and red lines crossed. The prophets, Ezekiel, Zechariah, Daniel, and Jesus, foretold a time when Israel would be restored, yet surrounded by existential threats. Are we witnessing the prelude to the war of Gog and Magog? The Bible offers not just warnings, but hope. Even in chaos, God remains sovereign. As we analyze today's headlines, we must also open our Bibles to understand the deeper significance of these times. To grasp today's conflict, we must look back. Once, Israel and Persia, modern Iran, shared friendship. Cyrus the Great freed the Jews, allowing them to rebuild Jerusalem. For centuries, Jews thrived in Persia, but the 1979 Islamic Revolution transformed Iran into a theocracy bent on Israel's destruction. Iran's regime funds and arms terror groups, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, encircling Israel in a ring of fire. Their goal: terrorize Israel and develop nuclear weapons for its annihilation. Israeli leaders have long warned the world, but diplomacy often prevailed over decisive action. This history of enmity and proxy war set the stage for the direct confrontation we've just witnessed. The ancient friendship is now a bitter rivalry with global consequences. June 2025 marked the moment the shadow war erupted into open conflict. Israel launched deep strikes into Iran, targeting nuclear sites and top IRGC commanders. With U.S. support, Iran retaliated with missile barrages against Israel and a U.S. base in Qatar, pushing the region to the brink. A U.S.-brokered ceasefire paused the violence, but tensions remain unresolved. Tehran claims victory amid mass funerals. In Israel, protests and anxiety persist. The world's response is mixed: relief at the ceasefire but fear of what's next. The old Middle East order is shattered, replaced by a far more volatile reality. The powder keg has been lit, the consequences are still unfolding. For prophecy watchers, the Israel-Iran war recalls Ezekiel 38:39, a last days invasion of Israel by a coalition led by Gog of Magog. Scholars link Magog to Russia, with allies including Persia, Iran, Kush, Sudan, Ethiopia, Put, Libya, and Togarmah, Turkey. Today, Russia and Iran are strategic partners. Turkey grows hostile to Israel, and Sudan drifts into their orbit. The alliances Ezekiel described are forming before our eyes. The prophecy speaks of nations attacking a regathered, vulnerable Israel, an uncanny match to today's reality. While this recent war wasn't Gog and Magog, it feels like a dress rehearsal, with the key players moving into place. The stage is set for prophecy to unfold. Zechariah prophesied that Jerusalem would become a cup of staggering for the nations, a heavy stone none can lift without injury. Once a backwater, Jerusalem is now the world's most contested city, its status fueling endless global debate. The recent war intensified the focus. Iran and its proxies invoked Jerusalem to rally support, framing their fight as a holy mission. Nations try to dictate the city's fate, only to become more entangled. Zechariah foresaw a day when all nations would gather against Jerusalem, isolating Israel completely. We're not there yet, but the trend is clear. Israel faces growing condemnation and isolation. The stage is being set for Zechariah's prophecy to reach its climax. Jesus warned of wars and rumors of wars as signs of the end times, words that echo in today's relentless news cycle. The Israel-Iran war is a stark example. Rumors, then reality, then uneasy calm. Jesus urged, "Do not be frightened. These events are part of God's plan, not the end itself." He spoke of nation rising against nation, ethnic strife, famines, and earthquakes, the beginning of birth pangs. As labor pains intensify before birth, so global turmoil will increase before his return. The recent conflict is a sharp contraction, signaling a new stage in the prophetic timeline. Now is the time to be awake and watchful. What does prophecy say comes next? The Bible warns of a charismatic global leader, the Antichrist, who will broker a 7-year peace treaty with Israel. This leader will promise security, perhaps after another devastating conflict, and allow the rebuilding of the temple. But halfway through he'll break the covenant, desecrate the temple, and demand worship, unleashing the Great Tribulation. The world's armies will gather against Jerusalem for a final battle, Armageddon. At Israel's darkest hour, Jesus will return, defeat the Antichrist, and establish his kingdom of true peace. This is the hope that shines beyond the coming darkness. The prophetic roadmap is clear: crisis, deception, tribulation, and ultimate redemption. It's natural to feel fear as these events unfold, but the Bible commands us not to panic. True preparation isn't about bunkers, it's about spiritual readiness and peace with God through Jesus Christ. By trusting in Him we find forgiveness and hope, even in chaos. We're called to share this hope with a fearful world, explaining that today's turmoil is part of a divine plan leading to redemption. Stay informed, but view events through the lens of prophecy. This transforms us from anxious spectators to prayerful watchmen interceding for Jerusalem, Israel's leaders, and all peoples, including Iran. Faith, not fear, is our calling in these times. The Israel-Iran war is a wake-up call, shaking the world and clarifying the prophetic trajectory. Ancient prophecies are unfolding before our eyes. The players are assembling and the birth pangs are intensifying. This is not a time for despair, but for decision and faith. God's sovereignty is our anchor. He foretold these events so we would believe, not fear. Let's pray for Jerusalem, support ministries in the region, and share the hope of Christ with those around us. The story isn't over, it's just beginning. The King is coming. Let's live with urgency, hope, and unwavering faith in God's promises.